This is the story of Morgan Nick, who still has not been found 27 years later. On June 9th, 1995, at around 10:45 p.m., 6-year-old Morgan was abducted from a Little League ball game in Arkansas. This day, Morgan's mother was invited to this game by her friends, and she decided to bring her daughter Morgan. At around 10:30 p.m., Morgan asked her mother if she can go and play with two friends behind the field at a park, and at first her mom had a weird gut feeling, so she said no, but then her friends told her that it was completely safe, so she changed her mind and she let Morgan go. The game finished only 15 minutes after Morgan ran off to play, but that was enough time for Morgan to go missing. The two kids that ran off with Morgan to play came back to the field once the game was over, but Morgan was not with them. When asked where Morgan was, these two little kids said that they stopped at the parking lot to clean sand from their shoes, and Morgan stayed there, so they thought that she was gonna wait for her mom at the parking lot. The two little kids do recall an older man by this description that stood by his red pickup truck and just stared at them while they played. What's terrifying is that on that same day, another mother called police and told them that a man with the same description and same truck tried to lure her daughter into his vehicle. And again, the day after Morgan went missing, a man with the same description tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl. Police spent many years trying to find Morgan, but unfortunately, she was never found. Her parents do have hope and believe that she is still alive. Morgan would be 34 years old right now, and they believe that she would look somewhat like this.
This mother is facing criminal charges by allegedly making a fake account and catfishing her own daughter. Hi, my name is Ethan, and let's get into this mess of a case. As crazy as the story sounds, it is real, however it's alleged just because it's so recent. Kendra Lakari worked as a basketball coach for her daughter's school in 2021, but was apparently not invited back on the team. People speculate that's when she made her account and started cyberbullying her own daughter. Isabella County Prosecutor David Barberi stated that prosecutors collected several hundred text messages exchanged between the two. The daughter received up to 12 texts a day without ease. David also stated, and I quote, "By and large, it was mostly just harassing type text messages, demeaning, demoralizing, and just mean texts. This was so serious that the FBI actually got involved, and that is where they tracked the IP address back to her own mother."
Oh, you're so traumatized, it makes me want to cry. You dumb bitch.
The topic that last video was going over was the case of the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was an actress living in Los Angeles who was at the top of her game. But all of that would change when tragedy struck one winter day on January 15th. Elizabeth's body would be found laying down on her front lawn with a blanket over her. But the thing is, she looked so pale that people that were walking by thought she was just a mannequin. After it was realized that this was not a mannequin and it was indeed a human, they removed the blanket to find a horrible sight. Elizabeth had been completely cut in half, and her body had been completely drained of its blood. It's actually commonly believed that whoever did this had some sort of medical background with surgery or something like that, because her body was bisected perfectly. There was no damage to her internal organs at all, and her face was also cut to leave a haunting, everlasting smile. But the horrors don't end there. Later, the Los Angeles Examiner would receive messages on a piece of paper. Later, the Los Angeles Examiner would receive some very interesting letters, and on these letters, it was detailing the murder, and it was describing the girl, calling her the Dahlia. But the police couldn't even use these letters for fingerprints because whoever wrote them smeared gasoline all over the paper so that all the fingerprints would be removed. And to this day, nobody knows who did it. It's an extremely haunting case that never leaves my mind, and that's why I made this video.
You're just as naive as I am.
A lot of people think this is Kate Yup. In part 1, I just explained who Kate Yup was. One theory about her is that she's this missing teenage girl named Carly Gutt. The first uploaded video of Kate Yup was right after Carly's disappearance. Check that out. And check that out. Like, that could match up. The lower half of their faces look very similar. But I mean, no disrespect, I am just a TikToker spreading the word. Do you think this girl is Kate Yup? Let me know. And also follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more content.
This is a photo that was found on the ground outside of a convenience store in Florida in June 15th of 1989. And that picture to this day has still gone unidentified. It was found by a lady who was just leaving. She saw the picture on the floor, picked it up, looked at it, and obviously it's a horrible, it looks very bad. So of course she calls the cops and turns the photo in. Once the photo was handed over to the cops, they consulted with Polaroid. Polaroid told them that this picture was taken at least after May of 1989. The photo was found in June. So that means that that photo was fairly recent. Once this photo starts going viral, back then viral, it was all over the news everywhere. The family of this girl who went missing all the way across the country in New Mexico was certain that that was their daughter, Tara Calico. She was a 19-year-old from New Mexico who just went missing while riding her bike. But a lot of detectives from all over the country examined this photo and they were sure that it was not their daughter. They said that this is not.
Imagine going to Disney World only to be followed by someone the entire time and not even know it. 17-year-old Madison Gaston received a notification on her phone that an Apple AirTag was following her the entire day. If you guys don't know what an Apple AirTag is, it's basically a mini tracking device used to find your personal items in case you lose them, such as your keys. So Madison received this creepy notification and it stated that the AirTag was detected with her at 7:09 p.m., but she only received the notification at 11:33 p.m. When Madison clicked on the notification, a map appeared outlining every single place that she went to in the last 4 hours. So basically someone knew every move she was making. By the way, Madison was with her family, and when they saw this, they all panicked and emptied their bags and belongings in the parking lot, but they were still unable to find the AirTag. There's been a number of growing cases where women have reported AirTags following them, and this usually happens in places like Disney World or where kids or teens usually go. And unfortunately, a lot of criminals and predators are using AirTags to stalk people, steal cars, and even kidnap children. And just so you guys know, there are settings on your phone that allows you to get notifications if an AirTag is detected on you, so you might want to check that just to be safe.
I just want the people to know the truth. I'm not trying to hide from the death sentence. I could have hid from it way back there in 1982 when I was first arrested. I could have hid it from it when I was arrested in 1983. I wasn't arrested on murder. I was arrested for carrying a gun and being a felon, which is a misdemeanor charge. I didn't have to come forward and tell them one thing about his murder.
Montgomery County 911, where's your emergency?
I just stabbed myself and I killed my 2 children.
You stabbed yourself and killed your 2 children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your name?
Brandy Worley.
Brandy what?
Worley.
And where are the children at?
In my daughter's room, on the floor.
In your daughter's room on the floor? Okay. And what caused you to do this today?
My husband wanted a divorce and wanted to take my kid. I won't want him to have my kid.
Okay, and how old are your children?
7 and 3.
Okay. And where did you stab yourself at?
In the neck.
Okay, are you bleeding?
Yeah, there's blood everywhere.
Okay, and where are you at?
In my living room.
You're in your living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are you armed now with the knife still?
No, it's in my children's room.
Okay, where's your husband at?
Downstairs somewhere.
Okay, what's his condition?
I don't know, I haven't talked to him.
And what are you feeling right now? I mean, you're tired? Are you where?
Yeah, I took a lot of Benadryl.
You took a lot of Benadryl?
Yeah.
Okay.
This town is so haunted they had to permanently close it to the public. This is Dudley Town, Connecticut. Dudley Town, Connecticut is a haunted, abandoned town in Cornwall, Connecticut, and has a creepy history. Visitors who have explored there say that once they enter, it's otherworldly in there, creepy.
First of all, it's reportedly completely silent. You can't hear birds, animals, bugs, nothing. A researcher compared entering the heart of Dudley Town to standing inside a recording studio booth. Another common complaint from visitors is that a lot of the photos they take in Dudley Town won't develop, but as soon as they leave, their cameras will work just fine. Which makes sense, as I had a really hard time finding really any photos of Dudley Town when I was researching. The creepy legend of the town is years ago, the Dudley family fled to the US after one of their family members was taken care of after plotting against King Henry VIII. They settled in Connecticut and the bad luck followed. Residents of Dudley Town began suffering a series of devastating crop failures and mental illness was rampant in the village. There were countless mysterious disappearances within the village and all-around chaos overwhelmed Dudley Town. By the early 1900s, it was completely abandoned. For fans of the Conjuring films based on paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, the two visited Dudley Town and outright declared that it was extremely haunted and controlled by something terrifying. Investigators agreed that Dudley Town is some kind of a portal. But here's where it goes from spooky to downright bizarre. The owners, the Dark Entry Forest Association, closed Dudley Town to the public and don't do anything to dispel the rumors. In fact, they refuse to be interviewed for the most part, and the owners go to great lengths to conceal their identities. On top of that, if you are caught trespassing in Dudley Town, you will be heavily prosecuted. This is so strange to me. We see so many other ghost towns around the world, and usually they keep these places open for tourism. You know, profit off the history and the spookiness. But for some reason, this association wants to keep people out of Dudley Town altogether. A paranormal researcher said there's some kind of secret that they are keeping there, and they want people to stay out. What are your thoughts? This has been requested a couple times. Has anyone ever been? Or are there any towns by you that you find to be really creepy?
Almost exactly 1 year later, a call came into the police station from a little girl claiming to be Antoinette. I'm going to play the phone call for you. I do want to warn everybody that this call could be seen as disturbing by some viewers. Viewer discretion is highly advised.
Police department. Hello? I'm Antoinette Garabito. I'm Antoinette on Albuquerque. Okay, whereabouts in Albuquerque? Hello? Antoinette, where are you? Antoinette? Hello?
It's so sad. So there's been so many speculations about this call, right? A lot of people believe that the call is staged. When you keep that in mind and you listen to that call again, you kind of do get vibes that maybe it is fake. Right? Then again, it's very much possible that that was a real call and that she really was trying to get help, and there's still no sign of where she is.
So I recently came across this video of this couple who went to a Yellowstone hot spring, and I guess they got curious. They wanted to feel the water. This woman sticks her hand down into the hot spring and she ends up running off screaming because she had burned her hand. So today I'm going to be telling you a story about a man who unfortunately lost his life in one of these hot springs, and just how important it is to listen to the signs, listen to the park rangers, and follow all the safety procedures they put in place. So this is Colin Scott. He was a 23-year-old graduate from Pacific University in 2016. He had his degree in psychology. So a short while after he graduated, he traveled from Portland to Oregon to meet his sister Sable, and they were going to take a day trip to Yellowstone National Park. Once they arrived at Yellowstone, they parked in the Norris Geyser Basin area, which is full of hot springs like this. And apparently when they were there, the time they were there, it wasn't busy at all. So instead of walking along the boardwalk like they're supposed to, they decided to deviate and start walking up a mountain. Now doing this is strictly prohibited at the park for obvious reasons. After walking hundreds of feet up a mountain, they had finally found a hot spring that they wanted to hot pot in, which is where you go swimming in one of the geysers. So Colin's sister was also recording their hike the whole time, and once they found the hot spring that they wanted to go swimming in, Colin was going to reach down and feel the temperature of the hot spring. As he was leaning down to feel the temperature of the geyser, he had slipped in. His sister was recording this. She tried everything she could to try to pull him out, but The temperature of the water was 212 degrees. So there was nothing that she could really do. And almost immediately when he fell in, he had passed away. So after this happened, his sister Sable tried to call for help, but there was no phone service in the area they were in. So she ran as fast as she could to a nearby museum and got help. But when the park rangers and rescue team got there, they said there was nothing that they could do. They couldn't even pull his body out. Now, I feel so bad for Colin's sister. She had to witness this horrific event, and, you know, she probably relives this memory every day, and I can't even imagine. So please listen to the signs, listen to the park rangers when they say to stay on a certain path, because it is for your own safety. 20 plus people have died in these geysers over the years, and it's avoidable. Just listen to the signs and stay on the designated paths.
Have you ever heard of Rasheem Carter? Rasheem was 25 years old. He was kind, he was smart, and he was so very loved by his family. Rasheem had just started a new job that was set to start on September 26th. So on September 25th, he decided to make his way down to Laurel, Mississippi, where he was needing to stay for his work at a Super 8 motel. But he was having some car trouble and was having a hard time getting to Laurel. He asked his cousin if he could give him a ride to his motel room, and then he had a friend there named Eduardo that he would be able to ride with back and forth to work. He and Eduardo had been roommates at a previous job site, from what I'm understanding, and so Eduardo said it was no problem to give him a ride back and forth from work. So on Monday morning, Rasheem made it to Laurel and he rode with Eduardo to work and everything seemed fine. That was until Thursday night when he called his mom. He FaceTimed his mom. Rasheem's mom could tell that something was off, but when she pressed him about it, he just said he was tired. Then on Saturday, Rasheem called his mother again and he said that him and Eduardo had a disagreement and that he would no longer be able to ride to work with him. Rasheem didn't go into details about the disagreement, and it was kind of just left at that. So when he got off work on Saturday, he started walking back to Laurel to his hotel room. While walking back to Laurel, a couple of the guys from the work site picked Rasheem up and drove him to Taylorsville, which is about 30 minutes away from Laurel. It was in Taylorsville that Rasheem went into a grocery store to get a couple of food items, I'm guessing, and then he went back outside the grocery store and waited around trying to find a ride back to his motel room. During this, he's calling his mother and he's saying that there's 3 white men in white trucks kind of following him. So Rasheem decided to walk to the Family Dollar that was close by and walk around the store. Now, he was on the phone the entire time with his mother. He walked around the store waiting for someone to maybe be able to give him a ride back to his motel room. And he walked around the store until he heard the cashier telling somebody that he was still in the store. That's when Rasheem ran out of the store. Rasheem's mother told him to go to the police station after this, and he did. When he got to the police station, he told the dispatcher that somebody was trying to harm him really bad. But there was probably no officers at the police station at that point in time, so he walked to the Exxon station that was close by and waited for a police officer to meet him there. Part 2 is up.
This is Shannon McCool, one of the worst pedophiles of all time. I'm going to warn you right now, this story is incredibly disturbing and hard to listen to, so viewer discretion is advised. Shannon McCool is from Australia, and according to interviews that he gave after his arrest, he started having these feelings towards other children when he was 15 years old. So from a very young age, he felt these pedophilic behaviors and desires. In the year 2011, he began working for the Families SA, which is a part of the Australian government that oversees childcare and abuse. And through this government job, he was able to get access to hundreds of children. These kids had been through it all already. They came from abusive and negative backgrounds, and he took this and used it to his advantage. He was able to get access to these kids for years, and even though other employees reported that he had been acting inappropriately with these youngsters, nothing happened. The government agencies ignored these red flags and kept him under their employment. But in the shadows, Shannon was engaging in some of the most deplorable internet behavior I've ever read about. He was a moderator for a website called The Love Zone, a website which had connections to Peter Scully, Richard Huckle, and a number of other pedophiles that we've talked about here on my TikTok in the past. But apparently, for other pedophiles to get access to this massive library of CP and become a member of the Love Zone, they had to upload their own user-generated CP at least once a month. This means that Shannon wasn't just taking kids from residential homes, abusing them, filming the videos, and putting them up on the internet for other people to seek out. He was actually encouraging people all across the planet to commit their own atrocious things. And he would then tell them that if you want access to his media, you would have to upload your own. So he was encouraging just so much abuse across the planet. According to Shannon, the first time that he had done something like this was in 2011 when he picked up a kid from childcare, was driving him home, pulled the car over, touched him inappropriately, filmed it, and then uploaded it. And from that point going forward, he was gone, and he eventually worked his way up to being one of the biggest pedophiles on the internet, dealing CP to millions across the globe. One of his alleged offenses even includes the assault of an 18-month-old child. But eventually, Shannon's crimes would come to the light. And that's when Task Force Argo stepped in, a division of the Queensland Police Service, who specifically investigate child exploitation and abuse online. I find it interesting that they use a scorpion as their logo for the task force, because the scorpion is the natural predator of the Australian stone spider, and pedophiles in Australian prisons are referred to as stone spiders. Well, eventually, there's a longer story that I could go into this about how the police actually ended up running a pedophile website and busting a ton of people, but that led them to Shannon McCool's house. Now, when they investigated his home, they found over 53,000 CP images, a good number of which he was actually directly involved with producing. And in total, after all of their investigation was completed, they had recovered over 100,000 CP still images and over 600 videos from Shannon. In 2015, he received 35 years in prison for his crimes, but recently his sentence was slashed. And I don't think that he'll be in there long enough.